local, Tallahassee's only locally owned and operated radio station. Thanks for supporting Warchant. Thanks for supporting the Jeff Cameron Show. We appreciate it greatly. Starting to get there with the vibes for the holiday season. We had our Warchant get-together over the weekend. That was lovely as always. You know, I feel like I've cleaned up lately in that end of the event. What is it? What you call it, Santa or whatever.
The white elephant.
The white elephant, whatever the hell. Yeah, I could never remember the name of that. Anyhow, the white elephant. Did well, buddy. Did well. I think you were happy with yours at the end there too. Yeah, buddy.
I've had a good, good career in that one. Mm-hmm. If we did like a career earnings table,
you got a good run, have you?
Yeah, you got the gift cards. Is that where it stayed for you?
But I also got the ice maker.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Buddy, you can't pass over a really nice ice maker. And so, yeah, we're set. That's for your Park Your Ass Saturdays. Hopefully there's many more Park Your Ass Saturdays next year that are enjoyable, Tom. Some real weighty Park Your Ass Saturdays. I hope.
The ice maker thing, I like. My mom had one. She insisted on it when we moved from New York down to Florida because the water is a little bit different. So she wanted like purified water ice maker. And that thing was very important to her. I just want, and I have, one of those spherical orbs of ice things that you put in the freezer. So that you drop the big round ball of ice.
Oh, the big ball of ice.
The sound it makes into the tumbler.
What about the baby ice? Oh. I like the baby ice too. You know, you get sometimes at the fountain drinks, you get the baby ice.
Oh, yeah. Actually, there's a sub shop that specifically
ice.
Has the right kind of ice.
I'm a big fan of the baby ice. Wow, what a weekend that was. I think we took another step over the weekend to being closer to the death of all bowls. I was thinking about it from a big picture standpoint of what had to happen did happen. And I suspected last week that Notre Dame was in trouble if these things played out the way that they did over the weekend, because at that point they could no longer deflect, meaning the committee. They would no longer be able to say, well, they're on the same tier. Yeah, well, they're right next to each other, buddy. And they played each other. So you're screwed. Now you're going to have to do the unthinkable. Now you're going to have to do the thing you don't want to have to do, but you're going to have to do it. And they did. I'll get to all of that and the rigmarole and the nonsense that is the TV show and all those things in a second. But I was just thinking about it from a big picture standpoint of being a college football fan. And I've been willing, and I am willing still to a certain degree, to go through the growing pains so that we come out the other side, hopefully, with something superior to the way things used to be in the world of college football. Not just the way we decide champions, which is fallible and always will be, but just college football in general. There were a lot of bad things before. There are a lot of new bad things trying to counter the old bad things. But right now, the new bad things are ruining college football for the average Joe. And I love bowl games. I do. But there's a growing sense that those puppies are on their way out the door. I mean, you just took another step over the weekend where you're like, yeah, we're going to have an expanded playoff here soon, above and beyond 12. We're going to get to 16. There'll be fewer bowl games that matter, fewer teams that will decide to go play. Do you remember? Think about the steps that it's taken. When we first started having the debate about players opting out of bowls, and I can still recall how pissed people were, like the thought of it, like the idea of a player opting out of a bowl game, turning his back on his teammates for this reward of a season, and you get to go play in the Rose Bowl or you get to go play in the Orange Bowl. And guys were like, I don't know, man. As much as the tradition of these bowls are cool and all, they are glorified exhibition games, and I got a chance to make millions. And I may just have to turn this one down and go make my money in the NFL. People were pissed at the thought of it. You know, Christian McCaffrey was the big one. Like, I don't know, Christian McCaffrey. Leonard Fournette was another one. I think the same year, right? It was a whole thing. It was a whole like, hey, what are they going to do? Some people told Leonard Fournette, don't even play your final year of college football. We've had more than one player be told by people, agents and the like, hey, you don't actually have to play this year. You're probably going to go number 1 or 2.
Yeah, Clowney was one of them, too.
Jadeveon Clowney was where I was just about to go. And the thought of that was appalling, right? But the difference was then that those guys not legally anyhow, we're not being paid. They are now. I'll tell a bitch you got to play a bowl game now. We're paying you. You're not going to tell me nothing about not playing. I'm paying you. This is going to be part of your contract from here on out, brother.
That's the thing I wonder about rev share contracts is, can you tie it to performance in such a way that NIL could not, because inducement, pay for play, was not allowed, even though we all understood what was going on. You could not incentivize contracts for NIL. That's a question I have. If rev share was tied to performance in the event of health, if you're cleared to play, you must play, you could force somebody's hand to do this. I think we're steering towards these games being underclassmen specials. And that would be fine. That there's a place for the bowl game to exist as a sneak peek of what's next, and allowing, because they've already taken away the restrictions for the red shirt. Like, this game does not count. The postseason does not count against the red shirt.
Correct.
So one would think that there still would be an appetite for these games to exist, because for the health of the program, you get practices in December, and then you also would get game experience for younger players who really want to get out there on the field. I think there's enough players on each roster that would play. However, flying in the face of that was yesterday Florida State declining a bowl invite, as well as another half dozen schools that said, no, Notre Dame's not going to go. That leads to a domino effect for, no, we're going to say no. We're going to pass. Well,
K-State opted out. Iowa State opted out because they lost their coach. Notre Dame opted out because their feelings are hurt. So you've got a series of opt-outs for various reasons. But my point being that originally a lot of people were clutching pearls about players opting out. Now we got entire programs. They're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to play. And I remember, and the reason I bring this up is right after the snub, we did a video. We did a video on Warchant. And I think it was like with several videos that I was a part of, or Corey or Ira or yourself. I mean, we all did videos talking about Florida State's next step, what they should or shouldn't do, what players ought to do, all of it. And many of us suggested in the moment, well, I wouldn't go play in that game. I would. You got half your team devastated by what just happened. Their head's not right. They're not focused. Another half of that team was trying to get ready for the NFL, and they thought, look, I'll play through some injuries that I have. I'm required to have some minor surgery. Now, this is a fact. There were guys that were willing to do this, Braden Fisk and others that were saying, like, I've been advised to have a surgery before combine, before Senior Bowl, before all these things. But if we're going to play in the playoff, all right, I'll buck up and push it back because this is a chance to win a championship. And when that fell through, when they got snubbed, a lot of those guys who needed minor surgeries to ready themselves for their workouts and all the stuff, they were like, well, yeah, no, I'm out. And we know what happened. Historic ass beating of epic proportions. Some people like to tie that result to the current set of circumstances at Florida State. I don't think it's that easy, but I also can't summarily dismiss that it didn't have an impact. It may have. It's hard to quantify, really, frankly, what having half your team take an ass kicking in a game like that did for your season 2 years later.
It's a piece of the pie for sure.
Sure.
I think it's a significant piece, but I don't know that it's like more than half of it. But it set things in motion. That's for sure. It was an accelerator for this problem that we're in.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But anyhow, at the time that we said that there was reason for Florida State to just say, no, we're not playing in that game, the pushback nationally was amazing. You know, what you heard in that moment was, oh, you crybabies, you whiners. How can you not understand? Your quarterback is out. You guys looked like ass without him. It has a direct impact on the field performance. We're going to have to move on without you. That's what they said. That was their counter to all of us who were like, well, you know, there are other aspects of football, and you can win a game, including a low-scoring game, by being a dominant defense, as we just did by 10 in the ACC championship game with our third-string quarterback. We deserve the shot. We got a lot of draftable folks here. We got a chance here. And they laughed. And then when we said, well, we don't want to play, they were like, oh, really? Crybabies. Isn't that just like you? Let's hear it. Let's hear it for Notre Dame. Let's go, everybody. Let's hear all the national pundits. Let's hear Herb Street and the rest of them tell everybody what a bunch of whiners Notre Dame is. Now, listen, at the end, and I'm going to get to this point, at the end, Miami has to go in ahead of Notre Dame. They deserve to be in over Notre Dame. But there's so much convoluted nonsense to the weekly rankings, which is a television show, and made up as they go along, that you can have the right team, let's say, go over another team and get to the final product in a way that is absolutely absurd and deserves to be called out. We've been calling it out at Florida State for a long time, going back to game control.
That's 11 years ago now. I mean, the first run of the playoff. You're saying, huh? Undefeated, folks. Wins matter. How do good losses matter more than good wins? Now, they did reverse that this weekend, which was nice to see. I thought they were going to keep BYU right where they were no matter what happened.
They couldn't.
Well, but they could for Alabama.
I'm going to get to that.
It's amazing. So they were able to draw the conclusion that I thought they were able to draw, but they just applied it only one way and not consistently. That's the fun part about what they did yesterday.
Yeah, it exposes the flaws, again, of the committee and the way we decide a champion in college football. It also made it abundantly clear that Alabama operates independent of the rules that they use to govern for the rest of college football. You're absolutely correct about that. That's exactly what they did.
And one
good thing that happened, though, really quick, as an aside, Notre Dame's erudite will never join a conference ass got burned for not having done so.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, that Alabama existence, I believe Ohio State gets that treatment as well. Notre Dame gets that treatment right back next year, where if they finish 11th or better, they bump somebody up. Somebody gets bumped. Them's the breaks. So they get rewarded for not having a conference affiliation and not playing in a conference championship game.
Except for this year.
With a safety net. Moving forward.
Next year they do.
Yeah. Henceforth, all they got to do is finish 11th. And you watch, there's going to be a year in the next 5.
Correct.
Where they're 13th going into the final week, and magically they're going to get nudged up to 11.
So back to the original point here. Everything that needed to happen in order for us to arrive at this point did indeed happen. Duke won. Texas Tech won big, which allowed the committee to put Notre Dame and Miami right next to one another. And at that point, the head-to-head had to be the determining factor, which it should, with no buffer. And just like that, voila, you're out, Notre Dame. Now, again, this process is comically silly. And I'm looking at the numbers in front of me here week by week. With their little, silly farcical sitcom ranking show every week where they play musical chairs based on incoherent leaps in logic and brands. Lots of people today, rightfully, fans, writers, pundits, you name it, correctly pointing out, David Hale did, many others, going back to November 4th, Notre Dame was 6-2 with a 3-point loss to Miami on its resume. The committee believed the Irish were the number 10 team in the country at that time, okay? On that same date, Miami was also 6-2, Tom, with a 3-point win over Notre Dame on its resume. The committee thought they were the 18th ranked team in the country. Notre Dame was ranked 8 spots ahead of Miami as far back as November the 4th, despite the fact that they had the exact same record and that Miami had beaten Notre Dame. They set themselves up for this way back then. What they did, and we first guessed it, was project Notre Dame's subsequent victories. And they baked it into the ranking. And they have said many times that's not what they're supposed to do. When Notre Dame was ranked when they were 0-2, how are you going to justify that? Only by assuming that they're going to win a bunch of football games. Whether or not that's a fair assumption, and it was based on the remaining schedule and the quality of Notre Dame's football team, doesn't really matter. You still have to win them. And that's the way that you go about the changing of the rankings throughout the course of this weekly sham, is that you would then say, oh, well, they're 1-2. They're still unranked. 2-2. They're still unranked. 3-2. Okay, we think they should be ranked. Their losses are by small margins to top 10 teams. Okay, we're going to put them at 25 here. Now they're 4-2. Go up to 24. Now they're 5-2. You're 21st. Now you see how this is supposed to work, but it didn't. They had them in the top 10. And they allowed them to kind of assume all of this. And it's not all that complicated. 5 weeks ago, 2 teams had the same record. Miami had a head-to-head win. The committee believed Notre Dame was 8 spots better. That would, obviously, at that point, tell you what they thought of these 2 teams. So what happened since then, right? Citing that same piece, Notre Dame's 4-0 with a win over a ranked team and an average margin of victory of 38 points per game. Miami, 4-0 with a win over a ranked team and an average margin of 27.5. So when the committee put its rankings together this time around, Miami's one spot ahead of Notre Dame. They did the same thing. They just beat the bejesus out of a bunch of teams over the last 4 weeks in the same way. And at the start of that run, Notre Dame was ranked 8 spots ahead of Miami. At the end of that run, Miami's ranked ahead of Notre Dame. So they began the maneuvering, and we saw it when they insulated Alabama because they did not want Alabama to be put in a position. And it's not Alabama's fault. It's just really annoying. But they didn't want Alabama to be in a position to where they were the last team that was part of the non-automatic qualifiers. So they, at that point, they were telling you what they were going to do with Alabama regardless. When they moved them ahead of Notre Dame because of their 7-point win over Auburn. That's not a reason. That's not a real reason. We know why they did that. They wanted to protect them from this situation.
But what's interesting here is because they did drop BYU, they had the excuse they needed to throw Notre Dame into the field. They could have just dropped Alabama behind Notre Dame to protect Notre Dame, but they didn't do that. They left Alabama right where they were after getting destroyed by Georgia.
Yeah.
They could have set them in the position that BYU was in, knocked BYU out of this discussion, and said Notre Dame and Alabama are both in, which is the one stunning thing from where I'm sitting, because from a brand standpoint, I thought their goal was always going to be to get Notre Dame and Alabama in, and that they would do that by leaving BYU, no matter the result of the Big 12 championship game. They leave BYU right where they were, say, we can't penalize them. Well, they did, and then they didn't drop Bama, not one spot, for losing their conference championship game in resounding fashion.
To your point, North Texas was ranked 24. They lost their 24th. They lost their title game. They dropped to 25th. Virginia lost their title game. They went from 17th to 19th. They dropped 2 spots. BYU went from 11th to 12th. Ohio State went from number 1 to number 2 for having lost to Indiana. Alabama, however, gets their ass throttled, in which you had more rushing yards than Alabama. And they go from 9th to 9th. This, again, after having been moved ahead. We already knew that. Also, if the announcers, by the way, this is an aside, just a bitch of mine, if you're going to have announcers spend 3 hours wondering out loud about the chances FSU falls out of the playoff, even in victory, as they did a couple of years ago, you'd like to think that Kirk Herbstreit or somebody of that ilk could maybe mention that Bama getting their ass beat so soon after looking awful against a 7-loss Auburn team might have an impact, at the very least, on their seeding. Right? You could begin to throw around the same sort of conjecture, could you not? I mean, they spent an entire broadcast during the ACC championship game wondering aloud, over and over again, you've got to wonder about Florida State, Tom. Will this affect their chances of making the college football playoff?
It's a very simple question. And you've got to think here, guys, it's another 3 and out. My God. Somebody needs to help us. Somebody needs to stand tall. This is the ACC on ESPN. We'll be right back after this.
Yeah, they spent hours. I didn't hear it this time around. I didn't hear it. Interesting. Didn't hear it. Now, one of the things that's interesting too, if you go, there's nuance to even this. These are some of the larger points. If you want to say that, all right, look, and I do, Miami had to be in over Notre Dame, and I agree with that. You can't, I can't imagine that even teams within the SEC, we'll see, would want to move forward with what is now plainly obvious with the committee. And one of the arguments you would make is that they ought to stop the sham of the week-to-week show that they do starting in week 5 or week 6 or whatever that is.
That's what Kirk's been pushing for. He wants Tuesdays off now.
Well, but here's the deal. It doesn't do – now, Kirk can get mad if he wants to, but it's his company's fault. They paid for the college football playoff. They have to have the TV show every Tuesday night. It's how they sell advertising and make money. It's programming. So he can only get mad at his own network. It's ESPN that owns that. That's why they do it. They spent all this money on this show, on the college football playoff, on this whole thing, this made-for-TV event. So that's going to continue to happen. But admittedly, like I would never, there's no chance if I were part of that committee, because there's no right way to do this. There's no 100% way to ensure that you're going to get this right without pissing somebody off. There's always going to be a case because of the imperfect nature of college football and the way we decide the postseason. There's always going to be a scenario where somebody's going to get screwed. So the resumes are going to be the same, and you're going to be like, and then you got to go out there and try to explain it away, which is impossible. But I'll just ask you this, other than these little teams that get in by virtue of, the way the rules are set up.
5 highest conference champions. Yep.
But you let these little guys in and you're like.
That was the whole point of going to 12, though. The whole point was to make sure that everybody gets a shot at representation here.
It sucks, though, because who are we kidding? We know that a James Matt. I mean,
but that's why they went to 12. Don't finish 11th, you bums.
No.
I'm not
saying.
I'm not looking at Notre Dame and saying that. Don't finish 11th.
No, agreed. I'm not boo-hooing. I'm saying a lot of times the conversation is centered around we're going to get the 12 best teams. No, you're not.
Oh, well,
you're not going to get the 12 best teams. You're not even going to come close to that.
That's part of the circular logic they'll use, and they'll apply a different rhetoric to a different situation.
Right.
Yeah, that's all.
I get tired of when they say that, and I'm like, no, you're not actually trying to get the best 12. You're not doing that at all.
They also wanted to blame it on the ACC for the tiebreakers. Like, hey, man, it's tiebreaker 7. Blame Miami for losing to SMU when they had a 90% chance to win the game on the road. That's Miami's fault, too. They'll be like, it's only the ACC bylaws. Like, don't try to direct this somewhere else. This is all what it's supposed to be, which is the bubble is going to be compelling. And you're right. Somebody's going to be screwed. And it's just too bad that the ACC isn't able to make a 2-foot putt when they need to make a 2-foot putt. The tiebreakers went way down the line here.
They went to the 5th tiebreaker. Here's where I disagree with you. It's absurd that the ACC's 5th tiebreaker at no point along the way is considered ranking. They F themselves because they're a stupid, silly league who frequently gets exposed for being stupid and silly and really unimportant in the big scheme of things. And they make themselves further irrelevant with the dumbass way they go about everything. Everything. You get to the 5th tiebreaker and you still haven't considered rank?
Yeah, but my point would be if you go 5 tiebreakers deep, that means somebody screwed up on the field in a magnificent way.
But just on the surface, you would admit there's no chance that you should, under any circumstances, through all these tiebreakers, have a 10-2 team,
sure,
who's much higher ranked, staring at a 5-loss team playing in that game. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It shouldn't happen.
I also would look at Mario and say, "Hey, Mario,
well, he's always
try not to do what you always do, buddy."
Right, but in fairness to Mario, he's going to say, yeah, well, I also beat Notre Dame, so I'm in. Screw you, Notre Dame.
And he would be right.
Yeah. And so, but that's you can't, come on, ACC, good Lord. It makes me laugh because all of this really is what screwed Notre Dame. The ACC, sorry ass, screwed Notre Dame. And that makes me laugh.
Yes, it does. We were going to win no matter what yesterday. Because I don't know that a lot of people have the lack of affinity that you and I do for Notre Dame.
Oh,
it's not on the Miami level, don't get me wrong.
No.
But it's not exactly an L either for somebody like you or somebody like me who sees the dump of a town smelling, as I call it, on a Monday after the selection day. And I think that's phenomenal. I think that's a great win that we should recognize.
Yeah, my point on that, and I know we got a break, is that, and it's funny, but it's worth noting that time that Jim Phillips bent over backwards to help conference-less Notre Dame with their scheduling, if you recall, in the hopes that it would be influential regarding their joining the ACC with all of the upheaval that was going on. That was the coup to be had.
Oh, and he said it at the kickoff. He says, well, I know, there's a little birdie that told me if Notre Dame's going to join somebody.
Yeah, he dangled it out there.
I wonder who it would be.
Right. So he was hoping that would have great influence. The favor done to Notre Dame. They got used, did the ACC.
It's us, guys.
Like a paper towel tossed aside. Instead, that conference, the ACC, inadvertently got their revenge.
Absolutely.
Inadvertently, because they couldn't have known that their absurd fifth tiebreaker rule that Tom and I were just referencing never considered ranking, and by doing so kept their top-ranked team from playing in the ACC championship. They would have either won or lost that game, and that would have been the play-in game.
Yeah. Well, they also got their revenge, too. Their dead fish handshake of an athletic director today saying, this is permanent damage with what the ACC. I mean, they campaigned against us. They campaigned against us.
Right.
We're a member in 24 sports. Yeah, which one are you not? We don't blame Miami because, Miami has a case to make, but the ACC campaigned against us.
Yeah, his feelings are hurt.
Why would we ever do that?
You want to be like, hey, a-hole, you were never going to join the conference, and we know you're not going to join the conference. And when you dangled it out there and we got used for believing you because we have a weak commissioner and he bought into it, and allowed you to schedule the way that you did when you couldn't get anybody to schedule you. Yeah.
Also, did you happen to catch his presser yesterday, Jim Phillips' presser?
No.
Oh, my. So it's a Zoom in a room with a giant blue wall and the ACC logo behind him, and the way it plays out, the way it sounds, is that of a hostage video. It is perfectly on brand. But I do love how the ACC, what do you think they should do? They absolutely should campaign directly against you, Notre Dame.
Well, they have to campaign for Miami is what they have to campaign for.
It's permanent damage.
Yeah. You got to campaign for Miami. They're in the ACC. What'd you think they were going to do? Campaign for you?
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah.
For you.
You want them to be neutral in this matter? I don't see those 3 letters on your chest. You wore them the 1 year for the COVID season. Otherwise, I don't see that ACC on your field or on your jersey. Not in football.
Congrats to Nathan Lowe closing on his brand new home thanks to our friend Shannon Young of Cross Country Mortgage. Nathan is a longtime listener of the Jeff Cameron Show, heard the ads here and called Shannon, and voila, the relationship was formed, and now he's closing on his brand new home. LoansForKnowles.com. Congrats, Nathan. LoansForKnowles.com.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Code 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Here's the cold, hard truth. Your body needs more than you're giving it to stay healthy. And now it's easier than ever with Vigor, the all-new cold plunge tub from Hot Spring Spas. Available only at Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas in Tallahassee. Cold plunges reduce muscle soreness, boost mood, improve sleep, and so much more. It's not just a trend, it's science-backed wellness. And now you can have it in your own home. Ready to feel alive again? Pinch A Penny has the exclusive home use solution. Visit us on Capitol Circle Northeast and take the plunge.
This is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. You've probably heard the saying, marry the house, date the rate. Here's what that means. If you love the home, do not wait on the perfect interest rate. You can always refinance later, and I can help you plan for that from day one. In fact, a lot of homeowners I worked with last year are refinancing right now and saving hundreds each month. Others are using the equity in their homes to invest, buying second homes or rental properties that are already building wealth. So whether you're looking to lower your monthly payment, get cash out, or start an investment portfolio, let's talk strategy. I'll walk you through your options and find the smartest financial move for where you are right now. You can find me at loansforknowles.com. That's loansforknowles.com. You can reach me at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. I'm Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage, and I want to help give you the keys to your next opportunity.
Welcome to Fen Chiropractic. What in the world happened to you?
Well, it was Thanksgiving, and it started out normal. We had deep-fried turkey, lukewarm beer, and a political debate that escalated into a deviled egg fight. Then Cousin Daryl said the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl. And boom, there's folding chairs flying. Somebody tried to suplex Uncle Roy right through the buffet table.
Oh, my Lord.
Then Grandma pulled out her old wrestling belt and said, let's settle this in the yard. That's when Hank stepped in. Hanky Panky, my emotional support alligator. He tail whipped the potato salad in the neighbor's yard and stared down my brother-in-law to stop the yelling, and then he calmly slid into the hot tub like nothing happened.
So, how did you get hurt?
I got hurt when I tried to high-five Hank. I slipped on a gravy boat and I landed on the lawn gnome.
Family drama, holiday injuries, or gator-related back pain? Get adjusted at Fen Chiropractic. Visit fenchiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com.
Just like family, your chiropractor loves you and there ain't nothing you can do about it.
On the front lines, fighting the insanity of the woke. It's Matt and Brett.
Community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I guess I got a little carried away because I didn't ever get back to the original point I was making. I'm just saddened by a lot of the things that are happening in college football because I love bowls and they're going away. I think we're about to enter into a world where there are fewer and fewer bowls. And you remember my old mantra, I want more bowls, not less bowls. And for a long time, we got that. For a long time, we did. I remember when we had only 20-something bowls, and we expanded on into 40-something bowls. And one could counter, there are too many bowls. And you'd be right. You're right. There's a lot of meaningless bowls. There always were, even before this process. You're like, really? Well, 2 6-and-6 squads going at it tonight, huh? Okay. But I like that. I want more football, not less football.
Welcome to Capital One Bowl Week from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I am an extremely hungover Steve Levy. He's Roddy Jones,
That's right.
and we're here for the Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah, and you would always be like, all right, we got a little William and Mary Richmond action. Here we go.
He's legit wearing sunglasses for the Open.
Sweating profusely.
Right, yeah.
You're like, oh, no.
It's Thursday morning in the Bahamas, and we're about to kick off.
Woo! We can't get this one over soon enough. It's 88 degrees and humid here. I was drinking all night with my partner. Dave, how are you? Dave looks like death.
Well, I've been better. And so have these two programs. But their reward, a bowl game in December in this fine place.
And so have these two programs. Florida State, by the way, some news here back home we need to get to, and less big picture stuff here for a moment. Florida State running backs coach David Johnson has left for Arkansas. This was rumored last week when the news of Surtain being fired came out. There was talk at that time of, who's next. We were kind of surprised at the order of things, but we were wondering, who's next? Are we going to hear of a possible retirement from Gus Malzahn? Still waiting on that.
It felt like a wave was coming because of the Surtain news, and Zenitz, the guy from CBS, was talking about this particular move. Like, oh, are we getting like the volley? Is this all happening at once? And then it just hit pause, and you're like, why?
Yeah, I don't know either. But he'll join Ryan Silverfield's staff there at Arkansas. I still think about Arkansas from time to time, Tom. Those poor bastards really kind of. Well, they found out exactly where they sat on the coach job poll there. That's not high on the list, Tom. They had to settle for Ryan Silverfield. You could counter with Ryan Silverfield beat Mike Norvell, Jeff. Well, everybody does. That's not a, you don't get to put that on your belt. You get to celebrate that as, hey, look at that. I beat Mike Norvell. Yes. He's lost to 18 of the last 25 teams he's faced. So I don't know, you want to necessarily trumpet that. But nonetheless, that is where David Johnson is going. He's going to go. And if you're David Johnson, smart move. Good move. If you're anybody on this staff with a shaky footing, you might say to yourself, I got to ride. You're telling your agent right now, I got to go because I got to restart the clock. I'm probably pretty close to getting the axe here. They've fired just about everybody they can fire. They're just looking around, trying to fire people, and I could be next, so let me get on up out of here.
I heard they're thinking about firing Link Jarrett to keep Mike, So at least I have a little bit of leverage if I'm an assistant coach at Florida State, because I should have been shown the door, but I can go to a place and say, well, I could always, I haven't been fired here. Yeah. So how about we kick that up another $25,000? What do you say?
So David is the latest of many that have left this program, whether that's players or coaches. He's now gone, and we'll wait to find out more about not only his replacement, but who else is going to be shown the door. Now, on that front, Florida State did hire another coach, and this would be, he's considered an edge coach. Edge coach, Tom. And we get him from Stanford. We get him from Syracuse, different S school. Nick Williams from Bainbridge, Georgia. Got to be happy to be coming back to somewhere near his hometown. And, you go look at his history.
His resume is good.
It is a good resume. It is. I like, obviously, what he did at Texas A&M. Now he was working with Better Clay. Had some dudes at Texas A&M. Had some real dudes at Texas A&M. Was on Deion's inaugural staff, I should say, there at Colorado. That was I don't know how much credit he gets for this, but that was a group that landed the top 30 class before it became the blank show that we knew it would be. And then he's also goes back to his time at Georgia. I'm always a big fan of trying to steal from very successful programs. That's what you should do. And he worked with the Bulldogs defense as a graduate assistant in 2019 and 2020. He was a student assistant in 2017, formerly played there before transferring. So that is who Florida State brought in, Nick Williams.
He's been around good recruiting, and his on-the-field coaching responsibility career is just getting going. And we already have a defensive line coach, so as long as this guy is a good recruiter, don't care. Because I know we played a lot of 4 down this year because personnel didn't match what we were looking for, and we probably won't have the personnel next year that we're looking for.
You didn't think that James Williams and those guys were setting the edge?
All I'm saying is if it's a 3-man position, if we're actually going to play 3-3-5 next year, I mean, I think Knighton can handle that, 3 people to coach. If this guy can make us a little bit better at closing deals and bridging relationships, that would be nice.
Yeah, I desperately hope that what we see is an influx of ass-kicking recruiters, relationship guys. Yeah, I mean, your running backs coach, ought to be a really good recruiter. He's a running backs coach. As Jimbo once put it, if I have to teach you how to run or where, you shouldn't be here. So that guy should primarily be coaching it up on the trail. Shaking hands, kissing babies, getting yeses.
Yeah, and look, he could, David Johnson, have a decent run of success perhaps at Arkansas, but he was also in charge of punt returning here. And so for that reason specifically,
oh, buddy,
I'm glad. I think RIP to the Super Soaker gun. Isn't that good?
Wouldn't you think Papuchas is next?
Never. No.
Apparently.
They're going to announce a 5-year extension.
It's he and Mike, untouchable. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Tallahassee Police Department is investigating a homicide.
Days are getting shorter, my friend. That's what happens in the wintertime. And while I love winter, I don't like the shortened days. Sometimes it leads to depression. You know what else leads to depression? Poor football. Poor football leads to depression. More on that in a moment. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/warchant and get on your way to being your best self. Yeah, Florida State football is depressing a lot of people. It's depressing me. It's depressing you. And we've got to talk about it on the regular. And sometimes that's what you need to do. You need to reach out to that somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, somebody that you thought, man, I should go have a cup of coffee and see how they're doing. Find out how the people in your life are doing. Communicate. Reach out. It's always a good idea. And that's true. Mental health as well. It's okay. Therapy works. And you'll ask yourself sometimes, why didn't I do this sooner? Talk to somebody that you can connect with that you haven't in the past to explain the way you're feeling. And you'll feel better about it. By the way, quality therapists, BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. Focus on your therapy goals. It's a short questionnaire. It's very simple, and it is private. You don't have to worry about sharing your thoughts with the world. This is what works. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out for a therapist for yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take the first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/warchant. That's betterhelp.com/warchant. betterhelp.com/warchant.
Inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Neese Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy?
I was just thinking, they never tell you that when you grow up, one of the things that you'll miss are the games that you created with your friends in the neighborhood.
Oh, good days.
So I would have my buddy come over, and then we'd make up these games that were kind of like a hodgepodge of every game that you've ever played.
Kind of like the bikes we built.
Correct. Yes. And it's a grand experiment. In the beginning, nobody knows how to play the game, and you argue about what the rules are going to be. And in the end, everybody knows how to play the game. By the end of that summer, you know the rules, the neighborhood know the rules, and you play that game like it's the greatest game ever played.
But they still try to break the rules, right?
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But at the end, Eddie, you're never going to play it again, and you'll think about it the rest of your life.
And the best game you ever played was that game.
Never been a better one.
Hey, you want to have a Gordo Smash, Jeff?
I do. I'd like that. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
So I'm a little nervous, Tommy. December the 8th is today at 7 p.m. We got a chance to win a national championship.
Yes, sir. Woo! Yes, we do. After what a finish.
Yeah. Own that game.
Yeah.
That should have been 9-0 by the time we got to that lone goal.
And it actually felt like hockey for just a little second there, because you're looking
annoying.
at the clock, looking where the ball is, looking at the clock. Oh, they can't get it in. Oh, they're inside the 18.
Yeah.
No. And it was thankfully over, and Florida State wins 1-0, and they're playing tonight
against Stanford. Stanford went 21-1-2. For those that do not know, they have been very, very, very good. They also beat Florida State right here. And a chance at revenge. Hey, classic, you won the battle. We could win the war, take home the national title as the 3 seed would be absolutely huge. Stanford, the number 1 seed. So there you go. You got to beat the best to win it all.
This is the 8th time we've made it this far to the championship game, and we've been in many more college cups, but 8th time to the championship game. Pretty cool.
It is very cool. The consistent success of that program is unmatched within our facilities at FSU. It's unbelievable every year.
It's a total win, because when Krikorian was gone, you wondered, naturally. I mean, they could get one of the best names in the business to come here, which they did. But can you do it again? Can you replicate? Or is this just, maybe you can make the most of having his players and maximizing that. But can you create it on your own? And Penske's been fantastic.
He has been fantastic, and I think that's a very difficult job, to come in and take over a program that was uber successful, most successful program in the country at the time. I mean, what Krikorian had done, we were shocked. I remember we were down at Florida State's football practice when we saw Michael Alford, amongst others, walking briskly to go see Coach Krikorian, who had just released a statement on his social media.
Yeah, that was wild. There was a collection of, I think, about 5 or 6 people in that scrum.
Yes, and they were racing towards his office to have the conversation. And Krikorian wanted it to be known that he was leaving. He was upset. And, we did some fishing and found out why. But at the end of the day, he left, and you thought, oh, that's a shame because that's a program that perennially competes for and opportunities to win titles. And, we both do this as Noles, Tom. Anytime that any of the programs have a chance to win a national championship, you perk up. You pay close attention. You get excited. Those are awfully hard to come by in every single sport. So to see Florida State annually be in a position, and frankly, we thought this year's team was not nearly as good as some of the other teams that either made the same run that this team has made. We thought they were good, but we didn't think it wasn't a special year in Tallahassee.
No, the results weren't there.
Right.
But here, it doesn't matter at that point. And it's happened to Florida State and different seasons of their 15 times in the College Cup where maybe somebody rises up and they get you. I can recall way back when, because a former high school classmate of mine, one year younger, was on that first team that made it to the finals in 2007. And it was like, this is so cool. Krikorian got us all the way.
Yeah,
and little did you know that over the next 20 years, almost,
dominant,
you'd be back in that championship game 7 times and winning it 4 and maybe 5 tonight.
I would always sit around and think, man, way back when, North Carolina had the dominant women's soccer program for so long. And, you go way, way back. You talk about Mia Hamm and people like that. And you're just like, oh, well, North Carolina's really good at women's soccer, whatever. And then we became the preeminent program. And I was like, all right, stole the title. That's it. Florida was really good for a while there too. But good for us. Stanford has a lot of really good players, 3 All-Americans. And two of those All-Americans are seniors, so we shall see. Yep, 1 game for the title. Let's go. Let's get it done. Florida State also played basketball over the weekend. Goodness gracious, it's a chock full first hour. Noles lost that basketball game. I've got thoughts on that, though. I wasn't nearly as upset about that basketball game and the loss suffered at the hands of Houston as I was with the previous defeats against Texas A&M and Georgia. You recall Florida State got blown out by 36 points when they faced Texas A&M and looked as listless as a basketball team could look. Turned around and got beat by 34 points by Georgia. And you thought, not good. Got some issues. Luke addressed as much. And you thought, all right, well, you get a chance to turn right around here going against a really good Cougars team that we'll see. And then you didn't have Alex Steen in this game, who's, played hard and been a physical presence in the middle for you. And you kind of thought, okay, well, without that guy, we were already a smallish team. You were really worried about how this could go. And you got down big early, but, man, they fought this time around. And they played a game where a couple different times they were down big, and they got it down to single digits. Went on the 12-2 run when they were down 55-40. Now, you think about that. You're down 55-40. The opportunity for you to get blown out is right there, and you go on a 12-2 run, and now all of a sudden, not only are you not going to get blown out, you're in it. You got a chance. So that was respectable. I'll live with it. I nobody likes losing, but that was a much, much, much better performance.
Well, and you get a break this week for a few days, too, which I think they need. And that's for exams, because exams are coming
week
out of Florida
indeed.
State. So they play again on Saturday at noon against UMass. All right, everybody settle down, get it together. And then they play Dayton next Tuesday before a couple of lesser-than opponents. You get a holiday break, and then it's North Carolina on the road and Duke at home. So this is the next month and a half, I think, is going to be the real telltale. You're probably not going to know. It's an unfair ask, just like these past few games were, of assessing exactly what Laux has until you get to play ACC teams not named North Carolina, Duke. I think Virginia's our 3rd game. Yeah, this is it's an all-timer. This is like when you do those treadmill workouts and you see the mountain, like a little grid, and it starts with the mountain. You're like, oh my God,
what the hell?
And the rest of it is a little bit more reasonable.
But he wanted that. He wanted to, he wanted to try to shape them and toughen them early, and there have been some rude moments in this little run, some things that'll hurt your feelings in this stretch of games. And let's see if they come out the other side hardened by that.
What it is afterwards, checking the clock to make sure I have time, they get a bye week after, because you know that the ACC has a bye for everybody. So their break comes after the Duke home game. They get a week, and then they host NC State next year. And it's NC State, Syracuse, Wake. All right. That's the collective time. Once you get to the night of January 17th and you've played 3 teams that aren't the gods of
the conference, yeah.
That is when you're going to know what we're dealing with here. But it'll be fun to document between now and then, which is a nice little 5-week run.
Yeah, and that return to the court next Saturday is at noon against UMass, as you pointed out. They are currently 6-3, UMass is, but they have not played any Power 5 opponents, so I don't really kind of know how to gauge them. And that game, by the way, is in Sunrise, Florida. We get to play at another hockey rink. So that's where that will be, and it will be televised, in case you're writing it down, on the ACC network.
There you go.
My buddy, mutual friend, you certainly know, Matt Britton, goes to that game every year down in Sunrise. And they make it a big tailgate. They have a big to-do. And there's some fellow Noles down there. They get excited, and we'll see. Hopefully we play a hell of a lot better than we have. And that's, it would be cool to be.
That's too bad. We always play in the Sunshine Showdown. Usually there's like a clock problem or the court is soaking wet because of the ice.
Yes.
It's happened a few times over the years.
I
thought that was a true home game. That's too bad. I was looking forward to walking over and watching them this weekend.
No chance.
No such luck.
No, unless that's a long walk. You got to get to walking. My friend. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Hey, everybody, it's Ed Dean along with Roger Henderson, also with FloridaDaily.com. Just want to remind you, daily 4 to 6 in the afternoons right here in Tallahassee on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Roger, it is literally the 2 fastest hours anywhere in afternoon talk radio.
And if you think the country's going crazy, we'll help you make sense of it all.
Oh, yeah, we'll try to make some sense of it. Again, Monday through Friday in the afternoons, Ed Dean, Roger Henderson on 93.3.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
What makes Paul's Termite and Pest Control the best in North Florida?
It's our core values, of course, and they happen to spell Paul's.
P, protecting you and your pets from pests and your property from termites. A, accept personal responsibility. At Paul's, we realize it's up to us to get things right and strive to do more than's expected.
U, uphold company values. Those values include treating others with respect and understanding we represent Paul's Pest Control on and off the clock.
L, look the part. As representatives of this great company, we will always make sure that our image matches the character of Paul's.
S, support the team. Every job we do is a total team effort to create a supportive workplace.
P, protecting you, your pets, and your property. A, accept personal responsibility. U, uphold company values. L, look the part. S, support the team. Paul's core values. They make us the best.
For the elimination of termites and other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
It's Christmas time, my yard's a mess, friends and family coming, oh, what a stress.
Pick up the phone, the Lawn Johns are near, the Lawn Johns can help, no need to fear.
322-2567.
322-2567.
Lawn Johns, Lawn Johns. 322-2567. 322-2567.
No need to fear, the Lawn Johns are here.
Love to compete on the dartboard? Then it's time to head to the CP. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is Tallahassee's premier dart bar, featuring steel-tip boards and soft-tip internet play. The Corner Pocket hosts leagues and tournaments regularly. Just check out their social media to find a time that works for you. And in between games, grab a pint and a bite in the cool AC, or enjoy yourself outside on the deck. Whether you want to catch a game or start one of your own, the place to be is the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachie Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
You're
Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
Potentially some good news for the Jacksonville Jaguars on the injury report. 2 key players returned to practice. Returning to the practice field yesterday, receiver Parker Washington, who's been dealing with a hip, and defensive end Trevon Walker, who has been dealing with a knee issue. Jaguars getting ready for a key game against Indianapolis on Sunday. Also this weekend, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosted New Orleans, and the Miami Dolphins, they are going to be on the road for a game against the New York Jets. NHL hockey, the Lightning lose to the Penguins yesterday 4-3. Penguins get the game winner with just under 3 minutes to go. Lightning back at it against the Islanders coming up tomorrow. Panthers lose to Nashville 2-1 in overtime. They host Columbus coming up tomorrow. This Sports Flash is presented by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Getting more as a MyLowe's Pro Rewards member is easier than ever with the Lowe's app. Download it today and earn 500 points the first time you log in. Plus, your digital wallet helps you scan, save, earn, and access what you need to manage it all in one place. Download the Lowe's app and take advantage of your pro benefits today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid 12/125 through 1/7/26. Offer valid for first login per organization only. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Additional restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for more details. Subject to change.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Did you know that the survivability of a metal roof far exceeds that of a traditional shingle roof? At Metal Roofing Sales of Tallahassee, we have new state-of-the-art roll formers that produce the highest quality Versa panel, PBR panel, and standing seam options. And we will guarantee to match or beat any local competitor's pricing. We're a family-owned business, ready to offer you the best sales and installation service in the area. And don't forget about our veterans and first responders discounts. Call Metal Roofing Sales today, 850-536-9123, or visit us online at metalroofing.sales.net.
Tired of calling 1-800 numbers just to get put on hold? Flush those numbers down the drain and call Terry West Plumbing and Septic Services, now offering Terry's Toilets, providing clean, reliable porta potties for any job site, special event, or backyard party. Real local people doing real work. No robots, no AI, no call centers. For all your septic services and portable restroom needs, one local call wipes away the competition. Call 850-510-8558. That's 510-8558. Or visit terrywestplumbing.com. When you call, we answer.
From the team behind Mac and More Systems comes IOWise, Tallahassee's trusted source for IT services. Protect your business with 24/7 cybersecurity, managed IT support, cloud storage solutions, network design, voice over IP phone systems, expert tech counseling, and more. Whether your business is growing fast or just getting started, IOWise keeps your systems running smoothly and securely. Local service, big solutions. Visit iowise.com today and work wiser with IOWise.
Pay-per-view fights can ring up big bills, especially since in the Octagon, there is one every few weeks. That's why the 7th Hill Tap Room right downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill carries every single fight. Plus, unlike most pay-per-view bars, there's no cover charge. And drink specials, too, like $3 select domestic beers and more. And if you enjoy international soccer, 7th Hill opens early. $2 mimosas on Sundays, anyone? The 7th Hill Tap Room, 2475 Appalachian Parkway, just downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
system and the latest chapter in that said imperfect system and what that is. I did not get a chance last hour to even look at the chat, but I want to welcome in William Stevenson as a new member, and I want to say hello to Seth, who said that he didn't realize that the Notre Dame AD was such a baby. Anyways, go Noles. Yeah, I think all of the people that get left out in the cold, and again, the way this is set up, the way it was and the way it played out, you knew. I seriously did wonder, like Tom, would they do it? They had to do it. I mean, they were in that position as this all played out the way that it had to play out for this to be a possibility. And as it was happening, I was laughing. I was like, "Oh, this is great," because you knew what happened to Notre Dame was about to happen to Notre Dame. Like, what are you going to do? The committee spent the whole time saying that they couldn't compare and contrast Notre Dame and Miami because they weren't on the same tier. And then there they were, side by side.
I still thought, even in that final moment, because they did post Alabama at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, Notre Dame's going to make it BYU 11, Miami 12. That's how they're going to do this. That's how they're going to pull it off. But they didn't, because losses in conference championships apply to teams not named Alabama. For Alabama, hey, they played Georgia earlier in the year and they won.
They did.
So that's very impressive, and we leaned on that more than we did, the game that we just saw on Saturday. That's the committee's reasoning, and that's what they actually said. They also beat Missouri when Missouri was ranked. A lot of teams beat teams when they were ranked. Yeah.
By the way, the problem with all of that is that the committee does the ranking. So they conveniently throw teams back into the rankings whenever they need to be able to say some team A, had this many wins over ranked teams. Have you ever noticed the back end of this? The back end of this is where it gets really interesting. When you watch the week-to-week thing, pay no attention to the top 10. Start looking at teams that they begin to position at 19, 24, 23. That's where you'll see the maneuvering. We're like, oh, they had to put them back in the top 25 because they're going to have to make a case next week when this team loses that they lost to a top 25 team. Or if this team wins, they're going to be able to say that's a ranked win. That's how they do that. I mean, you can watch all of this.
Here's my conspiracy theory that is backed by a lot of situational circumstantial fact in the past. I think they kept Alabama at 9, not because there are Alabama rules necessarily, because the television ratings are far better with Alabama at 9 than if Alabama was at 10. Because if Alabama was at number 10, you would concentrate those ratings in a pocket, in a quad, or whatever you want to call it. A&M would have played Alabama. So you get Texas, Alabama concentrated ratings there. The winner plays Ohio State. You want to keep Ohio State and Alabama as separate for as long as possible in order to command the most ratings dollars. So you keep Alabama where they are. They play Oklahoma, and who are they paired with? Indiana. I don't know that Indiana's TV ratings, even though they're a wonderful story this year.
Cool story.
I don't think their TV ratings without an Oklahoma or an Alabama, specifically Alabama if they can help it, would be all that good. But now that Alabama's there and they're not playing Ohio State in the second round, you just created for yourself a much better, more higher-rated product, a better chance to have more ratings for more games. And I think that's why they've kept Alabama at 9 and didn't drop them down to 10.
Also, one of the things to note, Bama does have the much better wins compared to Notre Dame. I mean, just as an aside, I didn't say that when I was talking about this earlier. They've got the better wins. They are never going – I think the only 2 conference championship games that are going to matter moving forward in which they'll apply the standard that you cannot not make the playoff if you lose in your conference championship game, they might as well have just announced it from the rooftops already. But I think it stands to reason now, and it seems obvious. You will never be penalized if you lose the Big Ten championship game, not in a way that is appreciably different than what we just saw. So, for example, Ohio State went from number 1 to number 2 because they played a number 2 team, and the number 2 team beat the number 1 team. They just flip-flopped them. But nobody's ever going to be left out in the cold of the college football playoff if they lose the Big Ten championship game. And I can guarantee you nobody's going to be left out in the cold if they lose the SEC championship game. Those are huge moneymakers. I just talked to 2 people who went up to Atlanta to that SEC championship game. That's a massive party. Everybody goes to that thing. It's huge. Influx of dollars to that city, that conference, those teams. Everybody's going to go. They're not going to just see that dry up and no longer be a thing. They've got to keep those particular conference championships as being meaningful. Now, sadly, we're stuck in a conference where the conference championship game isn't as popular. Doesn't mean as much. as evidenced by that sparsely attended ACC championship game.
We're Live Golf. Like we're there. Like people acknowledge it exists, but beyond
what a
that,
nightmare. What a nightmare to suck in this league.
To be the worst.
We weren't last this year. Very close to being last this year.
Well, you know what? We're very consistent though. Right at the bottom.
Buddy. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. I was saying last hour that if they could do away with the grand television show, the weekly inconsistencies that they unveil and then stutter after their way through explaining, if they could get rid of that, it would help them a lot, although they can't because, again, ESPN's paid huge amounts of money for this TV show, and they've got to run it. It's programming. They got to have this. They've invested in this. They've sold sponsorships to it. They've got to have this because I just dare say this. If we didn't have a single one of those events, not one reveal until the final reveal, and they just went, here are your 12, people wouldn't be that pissed. Right now, you'd be like, looks about right. They had to give the little guys a couple chances there. They got in.
Yeah.
And, and Miami's ahead of Notre Dame. Well, they beat them. Yeah, same record, and they beat them. Okay. You wouldn't. You'd be like, Alabama's in. All right. Well, they didn't count the SEC championship game against them. They do have a lot of good wins. They went 10-2. All right, they're in. You wouldn't even be mad.
No. What they did was they used the Bane approach. They poisoned Notre Dame's soul with hope. They poisoned them with hope. Even as recently as the last Tuesday broadcast.
Up there.
Oh, hey. You guys are ahead of Miami. You're just ahead of them. You just are. Oh, well, I'm sorry to tell you.
You're not now.
Unfortunately.
You're not now.
We went to bed on this. We slept on it. We woke up and you're not ahead of Miami.
I tell you what, kudos to people like Matt out there and others that emailed me. Some folks emailed me this weekend after this thing went down on Sunday and said, here's the email I sent you when we got screwed. And there were a lot of really well thought out concerns moving forward about the weekly playoff ranking show. And we knew it was a money grab and we knew it was stupid. And we knew that it, at the time, and this is the big thing that they have a problem with. And again, college football has always been set up in an asinine way. And there's really not a great way to do this. You have hundreds of teams playing disparate schedules. And then you're comparing them. It's really effing difficult to do. It's really hard to do. And they've never gotten it right. You can go back to when I was a kid. It's never been right. They've gotten, sometimes it works out. That's different than it being set up properly. Sometimes it works out where it's plainly obvious to all. These two teams should be playing. But there are far more instances over the years where you go, I don't know about that. I mean, we really think so-and-so's better here? You can't know.
No, it lends itself, especially now more than ever, to aggressive expansion of the field. I mean to a big number, to a place you wouldn't be comfortable with.
Well, I'm not comfortable with 12. I'm not sure as hell not going to be comfortable when we go to, if you did anything beyond 16. I mean, again, you're just negating the regular season completely.
I think you shrink the amount of regular season games and you start the playoff earlier. I think that's the way that this probably needs to go.
One other thing.
And they will congratulate themselves when they go to 16 now,
they're going to
because
go
of the
to
problem today.
Yeah, they're going to go to 16, but we knew they were always going to do that. The other part of this, though, Tom, is so when I was talking about the bowls last hour, you're going to have fewer bowls, that's for sure. But this is the other part that should be noted. So I went and looked today because I didn't know the number. ESPN owns all the bowls.
Yeah, I mean 90% of them. You're right.
Yeah,
there's like one random one on CBS, the Sun Bowl.
The Sun Bowl is on CBS. I looked that up.
Fox gets like the Alamo Bowl and something else.
That's it. And everything else is owned by ESPN.
Yeah.
And what does ESPN do with those bowl games? Well, they program, and this is how you fill the day with programming. You put on this whatever bowl, and you've got sponsors for it. And you make money for that, and it's something for all of us to take in. But I wonder how they're going to handle that now, because these bowls, I mean, when you get this many opt-outs, again, you went from players opting out to now entire programs just going, we're good. We're not going to play. These games don't mean anything. I'm not going to do it. I do think moving forward, we'll have to talk to folks at the Battle's Inn and others to find out exactly how this works. I was told earlier today when I did some fishing, there are some players that have already, like the newer contracts in these NIL deals, there are some where they do get money for playing in the bowl game, for playing in the postseason.
Okay. Well,
there are some that exist where it affects their contract. Not completely, but there are some that it affects their contract.
Well, it would stand to reason that they would be pissed that we turned a bowl down, right?
Oh, I don't know about
If I was that kid?
I wasn't specifically talking about any of our players.
Oh, okay. All right.
I wasn't talking about any of our players. I know of some players in college football whose deal is amplified if they play in the postseason. It doesn't negate what came before, and it doesn't negate anything in the future, but you could stand to make more money if you play in the postseason invite.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's where they're going to have to go.
Yeah, you also want to get a return on the investment for younger players. Like, the term that's being thrown around now is dead money, and it's not like the dead cap figures in the NFL. It just means money that you're spending to invest on kids that aren't going to play for another 2 or 3 years. Like, think about the Josh Petty situation at Georgia Tech. The asking price at that point was $800K or $1 million a year.
Crazy. Yeah.
And just by looking at him walking down the street, you're not going to play for another 2 or 3 years.
He wasn't ready, right?
Like Harold, LA Jesse Harold just left or announced his intention or is reportedly intending to enter the portal, however you want to word it. That came out over the weekend. That dude commanded 6 figures now to flip. He decommitted from LSU, and he was not committed anywhere for a while, and then we flipped him or got him to commit at the end of the early signing period last year. Hundreds of thousands of dollars for that player who never even sniffed a press conference mention as it pertains to the edge rusher battle. Dead money. In a bowl game, you'd be able to further assess these guys a little bit.
You're right. By the way, sadly, the bowl swag segment is no more since they pay players. But did you go through the bowl games? We got one Saturday. Got a bowl game this Saturday.
Already? Well, that's the Celebration Bowl, right?
It's the LA Bowl.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it's between Boise State and Washington on ABC. By the way, I like that matchup, and I'd watch it.
That's got to be West Coast prime time?
I don't know if
it would have to be after Army Navy.
Well, it is definitely after Army Navy, but also I would suggest that's also when they do the Heisman. The Heisman is a Saturday evening event, if I recall.
The Heisman is the halftime of the LA Bowl.
I guess they'll do it before that game kicks off, is my guess. Isn't the Heisman around 7 p.m. on Saturday?
It usually is. Is it called the LA Bowl?
It's called the LA Bowl. Wasn't that the Snoop Bowl?
The Snoop Bowl?
Remember Snoop? Snoop had a bowl. I thought that was awesome.
8 p.m.
Yeah, 8 p.m. ABC. Boise State and Washington.
Okay. All right.
Well, with every one of these bowls, you just have to figure out, are players opting out? Are they transferring? Are they leaving? Or what are they doing? And there is this matter, because we brought this up last week. When you're thinking about college football and how it operates, there's the petition for the 5 to play 5. That's going to be heard, I think, is that the 16th of December that's going to be heard?
Oh, boy. You would be informing me.
Oh, I think it's the 16th that's going to be voted on, right? So if it's 5 to play 5, like some kids may find out that they've got another year of eligibility. Well, if I've got another year of eligibility and I'm not happy with where I'm at, I might hit the transfer portal. That affects these bowl games. That's yet another thing that affects these bowl games.
Well, part of it also was, nobody expected another place to open up. So the teams that either were not invited at 5 and 7, I know you're talking about eligibility stuff, but they had already dispersed. We're
the
done.
Season's over. Yeah, they're not going. They're not. Yeah, you couldn't call your players after your sorry ass 5.
Guess what?
We're going to a bowl. We get to run it back.
The Birmingham Bowl is the one in question. Guess what, guys? We're going to hop on a bus and drive over to Birmingham.
I'll tell you what, I like the city of Birmingham. You and I would have enjoyed going to cover Florida State in the Birmingham Bowl. No?
I wouldn't have gotten sent. I did the post game.
Would you have done a post game for the Birmingham Bowl?
Yeah. Probably would have made it a watch along, actually. My guess is it would have been a watch along.
Yeah, because if you're in a pool, and I usually am, you've got to find the games where the quarterbacks are going to play. So, like, the first one that comes to mind, like, I'll do my research on the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which is played at 11 a.m. on December the 19th.
On the 16th hole.
It's Kennesaw State versus Western Michigan, by the way. But what I would do in this is I would look for those games where there could be real intrigue. So, for example, here's one. NC State's playing Memphis. That's the Gasparilla Bowl. That's potentially a good game, but only if C.J. Bailey's going to play.
Right, yeah, and not intending to enter the portal.
Right?
Yeah.
I hope he is intending to enter the portal to go to Tallahassee, Florida.
I'm with you. And
it would be very cool if that came out. But, yeah, you'll go through a bunch of these and say, what do you think about that one? What do you think about that one? I don't know. Is that guy going to play? Is he even going to be there? There's not a lot of stuff. I don't see it.
Well, this is where you need to lean on Lee Sterling for these bowls because he watches all the spring games. So he's like, oh, I remember number 42. He's going to start.
I'll tell you something.
I thought he was their best player.
It's funny, listen, the Snoop Dogg Bowl is still around. It's in Arizona. I just saw it. There it is.
Yeah, the chat has it.
Fresno State and Miami.
The Gin and Juice Bowl? That's awesome.
That's a great one.
I had no clue.
Yeah, it's great. Pop-Tarts Bowl is still around.
Yeah, they did a good job for themselves there.
They did a great job because both those teams will play their ass off, and they care deeply. And those are two good culture teams. Georgia Tech will play hard. You know damn well Georgia Tech's going to show up. And BYU always does. They care deeply.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You remember them bludgeoning Colorado?
Yeah, that's right. Well, and this is Haynes King's final act.
That's
right.
An
emotional game.
I might get choked up. I love me some Haynes King.
Frank, he's going to get choked up.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got that extension. I got to pull this off again.
Haynes King's been a great college football player. There's your guy. Quintessential good thing NIL's around, right? Dude got paid. He's not really an NFL quarterback, but he's a very good college quarterback. Boom. Well, hell, that's Jordan Travis. That's what, I'm glad he got some money.
Oh, 100%. It was already really tough to take because I think he would have been on a roster for quite some time. And he's
a pro. He would have just hung in there. He would have known the playbook. He'd have been a good leader. I don't know if he would have ever been a good player in the league, but he certainly would have stuck around. Yeah.
But at minimum, there'd be a start or two he'd get, and you go, look at him go.
You'd be proud. Yeah, you'd be excited for him.
Yeah, and that didn't get to happen, but they spent on him. They spent to bring him back for 23.
The Georgia Tech BYU game is like the one that jumps off the page. And then I don't know who's going to play in the Virginia-Mizzou game, but if the Virginia-Mizzou game's,
that's the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, but if they're going to play, are their starters going to play? Who's transferred? Who we got in here? I'll tell you what makes me smile, and it does let you know once again, just as we found out rudely, again, whatever preconceived notions you have to start a season, there's always going to be a couple of instances in which they are dramatically off base. And there's no better proof to that besides 5-7 Florida State than Clemson Penn State in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl.
No. Well, I was watching McMurphy. This is the one day where McMurphy gets to shine because he bothers to call all these bowl reps to see who plays where. Apparently, because of the Notre Dame decision, that led to a logjam in selections for ACC tie-ins, ACC/Notre Dame tie-ins. And Clemson was desperately wanted by the three bowls that were picking.
It's a name, yeah.
And the Pinstripe won out some way, somehow. But that's why Clemson's going up to New York.
Well, if we were good enough to make a bowl and Pinstripe had come calling to us, I'd have been happy about that, buddy. New York City, here we go.
Rogers Pub. I would be setting up shop.
We would have had a blast. Son of a bitch. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
It's where you raise your kids, where friends become family, where every corner has a story worth telling. It's your neighborhood. At ABC 27, we share those stories, bringing you news that connects communities, builds pride, and reminds us we're part of something bigger. We are ABC 27, in your neighborhood.
Hey, Knowles fans, it's Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage, proud sponsor of the Jeff Cameron Show. If you feel like the housing market is on a losing streak, I can help you find new momentum and respond. Waiting for mortgage rates to drop could actually cost you more in the long run. When rates fall, home prices and buyer competition go up. That's why I'm helping Knoll Nation to get pre-approved now. So when the perfect home hits the market, you're ready to score before the other team even lines up. Whether you're buying your first home or upgrading your dream home, I'll guide you through every step with passion and preparation. Let's get started today, and you can do that at loansforknowles.com. That's loansforknowles.com. You can reach me at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. I'm Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage, helping Knowles everywhere find their home field advantage.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Go custom with your window coverings with help from Budget Blinds of Tallahassee. Budget Blinds brings their showroom to your home with dozens of color and pattern choices. Just tell them what you love and they'll make it happen. From designing custom draperies and Roman shades to color matching your blinds and shutters.
I'm Gary, the local owner of Budget Blinds Tallahassee, where you get beautiful style and expert service for any budget. Call 668-4835 for a free consultation online at budgetblinds.com/Tallahassee.
Looking to upgrade your backyard, your business, or even your life? Then you've got to check out Southeast Portable Buildings right here in Tallahassee.
That's right. Southeast Portable Buildings has everything. Sheds, cabins, carports, and now beautiful decks to go with them.
Imagine a brand new storage building and a deck out front. Perfect for that morning coffee or for your family gatherings.
Need something custom? No problem. They'll work with you to find exactly what fits your needs. Big or small, simple or stylish.
And with easy financing options, you can make your dream space happen sooner than you think.
Southeast Portable Buildings, where you're not just getting a building, you're getting a lifestyle upgrade. Give our friends a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400.
Southeast Portable Buildings.
Big buildings.
Big decks.
Big dreams.
Southeast Portable Buildings on West Tennessee Street, just north of Capitol Circle in Tallahassee.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
This is Real Talk 93.3, Tallahassee's Real Talk Station.
This is Brian Kilmeade, and I'm excited to be on the air in the capital city. Be sure to tune into my show. I'll be giving you all the latest news, information, and the truth you demand. The Brian Kilmeade Show is live from 9 till noon, right here on Real Talk 93.3.
This is Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV, Warchant.com. All set to join us as he's wont to do on a Monday. Always appreciate that. Hello, Ira. How are you, brother?
I'm good, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just lamenting the mess that is college football. It's always been messy. I can see it looming large. These bowl games aren't going to be around much longer, Ira. We're headed towards.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is, though. I don't know. I think they're going to want to have something like that. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, this was a really, just kind of a cluster completely. In the playoff, I didn't have a huge problem with where they ended up with the playoff, except I think maybe I'd probably prefer a Notre Dame in than another group of 5 team in. But yeah, I mean, as far as I was certainly glad Miami got in. I don't know why Alabama had to be in, but other than the fact that they're in the SEC, but the playoff itself isn't a complete disaster. But yeah, the bowl situation's kind of a mess.
Let's just start with the first thing. Florida State, as you wrote for Warchant.com, decided not to go bowling, not going to do it. They opted out, and they're amongst many teams that did. There were invitations, 7 schools in a group that were sub 500 that got offered a chance to go bowling. Included with Florida State was Auburn and Kansas and UCF and others. Your thoughts on Florida State's decision? It's not surprising to me, but I'm kind of curious if you're surprised by anything there.
Well, I actually, I think that they wanted to go. I think originally Florida State and I think Mike Norvell was planning to accept a bowl invitation if they got one as a 5-17. The problem was they didn't as of last week, they hadn't. There were no indications that was going to happen. So Florida State already started making their plans in terms of the off season. Letting players leave. It's already making changes on the staff. From what I understand, from an equipment standpoint, things were already shipped off at the end of the season because it's like things they go through at the end of a normal season, and they just didn't think there was a chance they were going to, get a bowl because it didn't look like they were far enough on the list. They didn't expect all these teams to cancel. And then, obviously, a couple of 6-6 teams that I think had not officially accepted, but were assumed to be playing. So it's just kind of a cluster. I think if they got the process to where they could have invited Florida State earlier, I think Florida State would have taken it. Now, I don't know if that's the best decision. I still think this whole thing's kind of a mess because, even Florida State, where you don't have a head coaching change, you do have a lot of other changes going on, and that probably needs to be the focus. But I think the impression I got was that Mike Norvell wanted those practice days for the younger players.
David Johnson, the running backs coach for Florida State. It's announced now what we had rumored to be true or heard last week. When the original announcement that Surtain was being fired, there were whispers that other coaches might follow, maybe not firings, but just guys choosing to move on. David Johnson was one of those at the time. Now we know it's real. He's off to Arkansas. We also learned that Florida State has hired Syracuse edge coach Nick Williams. He's been hired at Florida State. He's previously at Colorado as well as Texas A&M and Georgia. Any thoughts on those two gentlemen or those two situations, David Johnson's departure and the hiring of Nick Williams?
Yeah, David Johnson, I think, to me, it's not I like David Johnson a lot, but I think it makes sense from his standpoint.
Yep.
He goes to Memphis, and that coaching staff will have at least 3 years to kind of figure out what they can do there. Or to Arkansas with one of his former Memphis colleagues, and so he'll have a chance to, it's kind of a fresh start. We don't know what's going to happen at Florida State over the next year or so. So I think from his standpoint, it makes sense. He worked with Ryan Silverfield before at Memphis, so it makes sense from that standpoint. I don't know that he was pushed out, but things certainly aren't trending in a great direction for Florida State. And then you're going to bring in a new offensive coordinator. Likely, we still think there's probably going to be a change there, but nothing official there. And so that kind of part of this process is kind of, I think, what's kind of everybody's waiting on. As far as the new coach on defense, he's from everything we hear, he's a really good recruiter. He was regarded very highly at Georgia when he was a GA and helping on the staff there in recruiting. And then Jimbo hired him as an analyst, and then Fran Brown hired him up at Syracuse. So kind of known as a really good recruiter and a South Georgia tie. So I think there's a lot to like there.
I want to go back to something you just said because it caught my attention and it really caused me to perk up and get excited a little bit. So we do think that they are going to move on, or that Gus Malzahn is going to retire. Is that the inference there, Ira?
Well, I just think that, from what we're hearing from, people in the industry, I think he has not made it, I think he's made it clear that, he might be interested in other opportunities. So, that's going to be the interesting part. If he doesn't find something, or if he doesn't have something he wants and he doesn't want to retire, then I'm not exactly sure what they do. But it's been no secret in the business that he's been looking at other opportunities.
Yeah, it would be in their best interest, obviously, if they want to move on, to see him get another job or outright retire. But as you correctly point out, my man, if he doesn't get that job, is going to walk away from millions of dollars. One wouldn't think.
Especially when he left UCF and didn't take a buyout to leave there. They kind of worked that deal out. And so, he probably would have made more money to stay at UCF and get fired after this past season than he would have just come here as an OC for a year. So again, I don't know how that's going to play out. And maybe he'll stay. Maybe that's a possibility. It just seems like nothing has trended in that direction for a while now.
Anything else that we're expected to hear this week? Are you getting a buzz around the program that there will be some more names for us? I just kind of figure as the days go by here this week, we'll start hearing about other coaches if, in fact, more changes are forthcoming.
Yeah, no, I think there probably will be more so definitely on the front office side. I mean, I think that you're going to see that process start to heat up. I think that, I'd be surprised if at least we don't hear of some people leaving early this week. And then, we'll see how quickly they get new people in. But I do think that there's going to be several changes in the front office side of things. And then, far as the coaching staff goes, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if there's a couple more. I don't. Nothing's confirmed yet, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a couple more changes on the staff. It seems like, though, if you're bringing in a defensive ends coach, that Tony White's definitely staying. It seems like that's pretty certain. The fact that Evan Cooper is staying and that Patrick Surtain left, that seems like the defensive side of the ball is probably, at least from a coordinator standpoint, it looks like Tony White's coming back. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see one or two more changes on the coaching staff.
Any thoughts on the basketball team after this run of losses? I thought they competed much better in this last game, even getting down big early. Some signs, at least, that they weren't going to walk around and pout. I just don't think they're good enough yet. Any thoughts on this latest run of ass kickings?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the Houston game, you're not, that's not a terrible result. Houston's one of the best teams in the country, and you lost by 15, but you were in the game for parts of the second half, and you competed. And that's the thing. The biggest thing I think Luke Laux was working for, just talking to some people around that program, is just, they had to get back to realizing that they're going to be the underdog in every game. So they have to, in just about every game. So they have to be the more aggressive. They have to play harder than whoever they're playing against. And I think after their success early this season, all the points they were scoring, how well they were shooting, I think they started to kind of feel pretty good about who they are. And it's like, no, man, you can't get out-competed by teams like Georgia and Texas A&M. You got to be the hungrier team. And I think, they got back to that against Houston. And if they do that against other teams that are not number 7 in the country, they've got a chance. But yeah, that was one of the things they really needed to see. And I think there were some signs of that in that game.
All right, my brother, I'll let you get back to mourning alongside Pete Bavacqua and the devastation that he feels towards the ACC today as Notre Dame's. I know you're heartbroken. I wondered whether or not you'd be able to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and do this segment or the Monday Smash tonight, knowing that Pete Bavacqua is out there hurting.
I mean, it's just the betrayal from the ACC. After all that he's done for the anyway. Now I'm not sad at all. I think I'm going to power through, Jeff. I appreciate it.
I'm glad that you will, sir. Talk to you tomorrow. Be well.
See you, buddy.
Yeah. Our own Irashfel, Warchant.com. Somewhere while we sit here gleefully performing the Jeff Cameron Show, having fun, talking about college football, Florida State football, basketball, you name it, a national championship being decided tonight for soccer, there's a man mourning over a cup of coffee and a dump of a town as he realizes that Notre Dame did not hang the moon and that they too could be abandoned, cast aside, besmirched in the world of college football.
Permanent damage. It's going to be the name of his memoir.
It's a great band name.
Yeah.
Great band name. Permanent Damage. The name of his memoir. We're all racing to the stores to buy Pete Bavacqua's memoir. I'll get right over to Borders. Can't wait. It's the Jeff Cameron Show. 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A Tallahassee man serving time for aggravated stalking of his wife and domestic violence charges is now being charged with murder solicitation per a probable cause affidavit. Michael Moricelli, a current inmate at Leon County Detention Facility, offered 2 inmates $50,000 to kill his mother-in-law once they were out of jail. One inmate reportedly claimed that Moricelli said he wanted to get rid of the headache and that he wanted it to be kind of like an accident. The inmate also said that Moricelli planned on paying them through his brother. Moricelli's brother stated he had spoken to detectives and denied any involvement. Moricelli denied that he wanted to kill his mother-in-law or his wife, per records. Another inmate also said Moricelli really thinks in his mind that if the mother-in-law is out of the way, he can live happily ever after again with his wife and kids. Moricelli remains behind bars without bond and was charged with murder solicitation on Tuesday. This is Rachel Anay with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update. Brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon. Daytime highs approaching 62. North winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows around 37 tonight. Partly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 58 tomorrow. Ample sunshine and dry Wednesday and Thursday. Upper 60s. Wednesday, mid 60s by Thursday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. currently 54.
What do you need tires on? Your car or truck, tractor or heavy equipment? At Nice Tire and Auto Service, we have tires for all of these needs. And we service your vehicle from air conditioning and computerized alignment to oil changes and everything else under the hood. Call Nice Tire and Auto today at 574-4100. That's 574-4100 for your scheduled maintenance. National accounts welcome at Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy?
I was just thinking, I never tell you that when you grow up, one of the things that you'll miss are the games that you created with your friends in the neighborhood.
Oh, good days.
So I would have my buddy come over, and then we'd make up these games that were kind of like a hodgepodge of every game that you've ever played.
Kind of like the bikes we built.
Correct. Yes. And it's a grand experiment. In the beginning, nobody knows how to play the game, and you argue about what the rules are going to be. And in the end, everybody knows how to play the game. By the end of that summer, you know the rules, the neighborhood know the rules, and you play that game like it's the greatest game ever played.
But they still try to break the rules, right?
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But at the end, Eddie, you're never going to play it again, and you'll think about it the rest of your life.
And the best game you ever played was that game.
Never been a better one.
Hey, you want to have a Gordo Smash, Jeff?
I do. I'd like that.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, this just a little call out to the folks that are putting on tonight's my son's football banquet is tonight. Need to wrap that puppy up pretty quick. It starts around 5:30. Let's get in and out of there.
Banquets are never quick.
I'm happy for all the kids. That's great. Everybody get their stuff. That's good. We'll all hug. Wonderful. Florida State's playing for a national title tonight. I need to be on home for the national title game. You're telling me you don't think I'm going to be home?
I don't think banquets of any kind move fast. It's a banquet. It's not a stop in, a pop in. I had a golf banquet at Capona's in Clearwater in 2004. I think it was December of 2004.
You were there for 3 hours?
Buddy, we had like 9 people on the team. That thing went and went and went some more.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I agree.
Because this game, the national championship game, begins at 7. The banquet begins at 5:30. I mean, each kid comes up, gets their thing. We say something nice about everybody and ride on, don't we? I feel like you can do that. You can execute that pretty quick.
It's a large roster.
No, Leon's roster's not huge. I'll MC it, so we'll be out of there 6:45. Let's go.
Ours took so long because the parents all wanted to split pitchers of beer. That's why we're just sitting there.
I don't think there's any beer at this particular banquet, and there is food, so you're going to have to do that. You got to go through the line to get your food, but just a little. All right, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, your kid did great. Yep, thanks. Let's go. Let's keep it moving. I know. It's just an unfortunate set of circumstances that it falls where it does, but so be it. That's the situation.
You can log in from your YouTube and watch a little bit.
Oh, I'll do it. I've been known to do that. I've kept that account, and I will log in to watch a sporting event. Yes, no matter where we are.
Now, I suppose the Smash will serve as a first half watch along too.
I was going to say,
I'll have it up. But that's the thing. When you're driving, you can't be fixed unless you want to do play-by-play like you used to do for the NCAA tournament at 1270 illegally back in the day. So I'll have it as a very small window in the upper right-hand corner of the command center. But I can't. You get lost. Otherwise, like, oh, make the pass. And then next thing you know, your Ira's staring at me. He's going, well, we were talking about David Johnson.
What are we doing
My
here?
bad, man.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about the mess that is college football. It's just another reminder, though. It's always been this way. It's never been a system that everybody was happy about. We always had, something that would stand out to us that seemed unjust, and that's the way it's going to always be. But I do wonder, we asked this question a while back, and I brought it up again last week. And the further removed we get from it, I think we have revisionist history about it, and that includes myself. So I'd have to go back and really pay close attention to each of those polls that came out. But I know verbiage, Jeff, but I would just tell you the BCS the computer polls. We now know more of what we're wishing for. We now, I think, have a better idea of what we would put into those computers in order to have it spit out the data that we wanted. And it still won't be perfect. I don't think they're doing themselves any favors with the committee. And maybe I'm wrong, because here we are talking about it and the whole nation is today. And college football is getting a lot of what they desire, which is eyes on sets and people yelling at each other, I suppose.
You could just have, Watson from IBM or an AI figure represent the computers. Like you see that video of the guy who brought in the AI for the defense attorney? May it please the court.
Yeah, no.
And here are your top 12 teams. Glitching all over the screen.
Yeah, no, not ideal. I hate the idea. First of all, I bring this up all the time. None of us are completely objective. We're from somewhere. We went to school somewhere. We grew up in an area and watched a certain style of, if as it pertains to football, you saw a certain style of football that was to your liking. If you grew up in Utah, you see football differently than if you grew up in Georgia. I mean, it's just, and there's nothing, that's just the way it is. So you're never going to get somebody completely objective to sit down on a committee and not have an axe to grind or not have a bias. And this whole thing was supposed to be built around transparency. That's why the alleged week-to-week thing was going to happen, is they said basically like, look, we want you to hear us talk through the process of how we arrived where we arrived. So you don't just suddenly have it sprung on you at the end of the year. So we're going to wait the first 4 or 5 weeks and just let the season start to play out so we get a sense of who these teams are. And then we'll give you our weekly ratings so that you can see how the committee was viewing certain teams after wins, after losses, and you got an idea. And on paper, that makes sense. Like you write up those bylaws and say, hey, look, every week we're going to let you know where we stand, just so there won't be any gotcha moments. You'll know we had this team at 12 one week and 9 the next, or whatever it might be, so you can see it coming. But it doesn't serve that purpose ever, because there's no consistency with it. And I don't know that there ever could be. You know, like the competing things can be true, right? We know that there's a bias for the schools in the Big Ten and the SEC. We also know that those are the two best conferences. Year over year, they typically are. And so it's kind of, you get into this pickle every time.
You do. I think the best thing to do would be to make those meetings public. If you're not going to go to the computer, then those meetings need to be prepared for broadcast. And just allow people's opinions to stand for themselves with pure transparency. They don't want to do that because they know they have fools in the room that they were trying to drum up buzz because they went and got former politicians or politician-adjacent folks in addition to university presidents that, well, I mean, what experience did university presidents have? From an organizational operations standpoint, I want to hear their thoughts about how to logistically execute this event. But who's better between number 8 and number 9? They're afraid to show you exactly how dumb they sound in that room. But if you put people in there that know it, that have been in it, you could televise that and not even worry about the desk show with Reese Davis and the crew. That would be the way I would do it if you're not going to go to the computer.
Yeah, and I do believe that there will never be a controversy-free set of circumstances surrounding those who make the playoffs and those who don't. There's always going to be some controversy, but you're right. It would be easy because there's controversy even just week to week. Like you and I talking about a team. We can respect each other's opinion about football. We can respect each other's opinion about the way we view a player or a coach or a program. And we routinely disagree about what a team is or is not. And so, reasonable people can disagree about that sort of thing. You're always going to have it, especially since, again, they're playing disparate schedules. It's so much easier when everybody's playing the same schedule. You're just like, well, here's what they are and they're not. And we know what they are.
And even when they're not, when you have a 32-team league like the NFL, you get your arms around the scope of the league. Yes. And you say, well, it was a lucky year they got paired with the NFC East. That was a lucky year. Man, the AFC North was really down this year.
And that's who they got.
You know what? And so their conference schedule was tough. But you don't walk into the final weekend of the year and go, well, this is a sham. It's all rigged. This is ridiculous. Of course they face the AFC North this year. This strength of schedule is nonsense. If you take a look at Kansas City's strength of schedule, they should be in. And you know what?
Yeah, you don't do
Houston
that.
should be out. You don't ever. It doesn't come to that ever. But college, the scope of it is way too big.
Too big. I will say that we got something great out of all of this. It spit out something pretty awesome, and it is the consequences of NIL, transfers, the modern system, so much of which we despise. We got Indiana to win the Big Ten and be the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. And I don't say that as somebody who cares anything about Indiana. I don't. But that is a very modern story in the world of college football that would not and has not existed prior. That is an unbelievable turn of events the last 2 years.
Push comes to shove. I believe in them more. I still don't all the way, but that is impressive. I mean, it's legit.
They play defense now.
They do. They really do play defense.
Yeah. And they're coordinated very well.
Yep.
And they'll hit you. A couple things stood out for a lot of people over the weekend. I think a lot of people were like you. They hadn't seen Texas Tech play. And I had seen them play a couple of times, and I remember both times going, they play defense now. They got some dudes up front. These are NFL guys up front. And those linebackers, I think it's what happens is you juxtapose our linebackers for their linebackers, and you get even angrier.
Any team you watched on Saturday.
But I'm saying you watch the linebackers that play for that team, or as you say, almost any team that played this past weekend.
Yeah.
And then you look at ours, and I've been beating this drum for some time now. Like, what are we doing at that position? It is pitiful. Elijah Herring was like one of the worst rated linebackers in all the Power 4.
Yeah, I mean, you could take a look at the linebackers coach. I'm not sure, and see, whose responsibility it was. But who knows? He may be back. You could say that of the segment groups that are very disappointing at Florida State over the last 10 to 15 years.
There's a lot to choose from, so I'm going to see how you order these.
Well, no, linebacker.
Special teams?
Well, I would just say, that's a phase. Now we're talking phases. But linebacker probably would go above and beyond all other position groups in terms of their falling flat to whatever standard
not playing well?
we believe we hold. Yes. Yeah. I think that's true.
Yeah.
Because it's been 12 years.
Oh.
It's Terrence Smith, kind of. He was at least close. Like, it's a down year, but Terrence is a pretty good player. And then he had the pick 6 against Florida that took 25 seconds because he was on a bum leg.
He was on a bum leg, and he made it all the way back, though.
Since then, you've had 5 minutes of Bethune and 5 minutes of Kalen DeLoach and a couple other dudes for just a fleeting moment.
Yeah, man, it just still frustrating. Oh, every weekend you're like, no, that guy's there at Marshall kicking ass, is he? Looks like a lot better linebacker than anybody we have. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But when you watch Texas Tech, you thought they may not, who knows? They may not be good enough offensively.
Some problems off.
But they are really good defensively. And it's not just like bought and paid for stuff. They're coached well. They play the game the right way. It's very, very impressive. And that continues to bother me. You just don't see the development.
Well, and that's where having an NIL presence that goes above and beyond all other NIL presences also can help you in a big way.
There's watching those games and watching so many of these teams, Tom, that it really does serve to frustrate you, because only when you're juxtaposing those players do you ever, like when you're heightenedly focused on these games that you see it. I mean, you already know Georgia, and you already know several other teams. When you see some of these teams, you're like, we can't compete with them. We're on the same page with that. That's where you get really, really frustrating. Let's go above and beyond. Cue it.
Above and beyond. Above and beyond. Above and beyond.
Above
and beyond.
Above and Beyond VR.com. That's where you want to go for your holiday rentals right now. Let's make it happen. Beautiful, beautiful properties. Vast majority of them with pools, and above and beyond all of that, the vast majority of them with heated pools, which you seldom need in Florida, but around this time of year you might. And it's good to know that they offer those as well. If you go to aboveandbeyondvr.com, you can surf about the properties and see the right one for you. Everything from the lap of luxury to quaint little cottages right on the water. You name it, they've got it. Big old condos or beautiful little mini homes, if you will, for you and the family. It's all good.
I picked a spot for folks in downtown Dunedin so you can walk to Main Street for New Year's and also go drive to the beach if you want to do that.
A little bit of partying.
You can get 3 nights for under $850.
Did you type in JCS, buddy?
I did indeed.
And you are really, look at that. How many nights?
3 nights. 3 nights. And I'll tell you, it's, as we've said often, when you grew up and when I grew up,
there was nothing in Dunedin.
No, Dunedin was the home of the Blue Jays. You had Bon Appetit on the water and then bumpy roads because they had still the cobblestone Main Street area.
Mm-hmm.
But there was nothing there except the bumps and some train tracks. Now Dunedin is a happening spot. It's a great place to mix it up for the holidays, and you can stay there for very, very reasonable rates.
I cursed Dunedin prior to going there recently. Because I was unaware of all the dramatic changes.
You were familiar with their game now.
I was not, but I am now. But the last time I had seen Dunedin, we played a jamboree there, and I hit a guy so hard that I saw stars. And I remember the two of us got up and were like, good hit. And neither of us could see straight.
Dunedin Falcons.
Yeah. It was a hell of a hit out on the edge. I congratulated him. He congratulated me. Neither of us could see each other.
So there you go. Your memory of that hit is the above and beyond hit of your career.
That's the player.
Is that better than the ear hole you got on the crackback?
The crackback in practice. That still pisses me off. But yes, crackback on your own guy in practice. What are we doing? Yeah, I was mad. But you won't be mad if you go to aboveandbeyondvr.com. Book one of these places. Get you right on the water if you want. Whatever you want. It's all good. It's all good. Final hour forthcoming. Yeah, I got to mention the Bucks and the rest of the NFL. We'll do it next. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Feeling sluggish?